Number one for you in tier number one, and I think I'll set the stage here too.
Set it up.
He's the only quarterback.
He's
in
the
this
only
tier.
quarterback in tier one.
So to Chris Simms, there is a clear number one quarterback in this draft class.
Yeah.
And that quarterback is
C.J. Stroud, Ohio State. C.J. Stroud is beyond blown away from what I've saw. I knew it was good. Blown away when I turn on the film and you start to dive into it. Blown away to where the film, to me, and everything I've seen, I go, this is as close to Joe Burrow as I've seen coming out in the draft here. I mean, when you just talk about great decision-making, right? Quickness. I mean, that was Joe Burrow. Oh, boom, read the coverage. Boom, oh, ball goes here. Oh, hey, first guy's not open. Boom, as I'm looking to the second guy, I'm getting ready to throw, and it comes out, and bam, it's flawless. I throw the ball. And then when you talk about hitting the bullseye on a consistent basis, C.J. Stroud's ability to make high-level throws and just drop the ball in receivers' pockets, hit them in the chest, wherever, it's off the charts good. It's off the charts good. And then you talk about his size and his ability to play in the pocket, and of course, I put a little more emphasis on that too. He's a pure pocket passing quarterback. He is. But that's not to say he can't move and be mobile, too. You saw the Georgia game, and there's more movement than he's given credit for even throughout the year. Now, his movement might not always be sexy and turn the corner and run for a 50-yard run down the sideline. But, oh, my gosh, does he have so many good plays, Ahmed. And to me, this is life in the NFL of, step, dropping back. Okay, I'm about to take a hitch. Going to throw the deep out route to the right side. Oh, wait, somebody's in my face. I got to sidestep him. But, hey, wait, that out route was coming open. Let me give it a look to see if I still got it. Oh, it's still there. Zoom, throws it in there. Strike. Oh, it's not there. Okay, let me go to number 2, right? And it's aggressive decision-making, along with seeing the field and very few dicey decisions. I mean, Ahmed, when you really break him down, his incompletions are off the charts good. His incompletions are like, well, that was a strike. I mean, he tried to fit it into a tight window. Or he did fit it into the tight window, and the guy dropped it because it was so tight he was like, couldn't see because there was hands and everything in there. So that's where you talk about decision-making, top-notch, right? You talk about the ability to make power, game-changing type throws, top-notch. And then go on to accuracy with the short game, all that, it's all off the charts. But what's really off the charts for me, and then just separates them, is the amount of 15 to 30-yard throws that are on the money, that change field position of the game on a consistent basis is amazing. And like I said, Joe Burrow's the only guy I can remember where I just kept going, whoa, another strike. Whoa, another strike. Whoa, another good decision strike. Whoa, another good decision strike. And then, again, I think the movement, you saw the potential. I think it's there totally. He can work on that. And we saw he made progress in a month off between Michigan and that Georgia game to where I think there's untapped potential to where this guy's only going like in a developing upward trajectory right now.
So I want to get into that too, because there are people that have C.J. Stroud 2 or maybe even 3 that do say they concede, like, if he's that guy that we saw at the Georgia game, then it's a whole new ball game. Then he probably is the number one guy. But the fact was it was really only one game that he showed some of those traits. Not the accuracy, not the able to, be the Joe Burrow precision guy, break down a defense, but the playmaking, the ability to improvise, maybe. Is that the only time that you really saw that too?
I think that's being overhyped, that point a little bit. That was certainly the big stage. It's the Georgia defense, and nobody does that to Georgia. What are you doing? How is he doing this, right?
Yeah.
So, but, go back and watch the Penn State game. I mean, he avoids traffic and trouble a lot to make big throws. Even in the Michigan game, there's enough there. You go through the games, you see plenty of moments of the ability to move. He throws the ball great on the run, right? And then the other thing he's great at, too, is there's pressure. He doesn't need a lot of space to throw the ball. He can lean on his back leg with somebody bearing down, coming up right into his face, right? He can lean on his back foot and just throw a ball, 20-yard curl route, boom, on the money, right? Kind of fade away. Oh, there's a shallow cross, but I got to fade away because I'm getting pressure. Boom, throws it on the money, right? So, I see that was his greatest game of movement and maybe his greatest game of running. That's the biggest thing. He turned upfield and ran. Because more times than not, he's let me avoid the guy so I could set up and throw a laser down the football field.
Yeah.
And just to remind everybody, those are the guys who are the top guys in football right now. That's from Mahomes and Burrow and Allen, Aaron Rodgers 5 years ago. That's that guy.
5 years ago.
Well, 3 years ago. Sorry, you're right. But you know what I meant to say. You know what I meant by that. And that's where he is super, super impressive.
So he knows the narrative was out there that they wanted to see more from that Georgia game, but you said there was some instances of that, but even he wanted a few more. He did talk during the NFL Scouting Combine. I thought this quote was instructive. He goes, "I'll be honest, I told the NFL coaches, like I'll tell you all, I didn't do it a lot in college, and I feel I should have. It's something I do regret. I feel like I could have done it a lot more, but I think that when you turn on the film and you really watch what I do and you really look at the film game to game, I have used my athleticism, not only just in the Georgia game where I did it a lot. I've done it in every other game. I've had tough third down runs. I've had tough fourth down runs, but there are times I didn't run the ball when maybe I should have." So basically your point there. It's like maybe he didn't do it as much as he could have.
Right. It's there.
But it's there.
It's there.
It's on the tape.
It is there. And then I think where he's probably talking about it is like, he's probably looking at it going, there's times where I could have maybe pressed the line of scrimmage more, right? And like really threatened the ability to run or stop, hey, wait, nobody's open, but now let me kind of slow down and look for people to throw to still when you're like, no, just take off and run, right? Sure. Yeah, there's some instances where you'd like to see that, but that's totally coachable and easy to learn. So that's like, if that's the problem, then so what? That's like, if you gave me all the problems to list in the world that were a problem, I'd go, that'd be the one I'd want right there. The guy who can run, who doesn't look to run because he's looking to beat you with his arm and his mind to make the great decision and throw every time. So that's where I like it. And yes, there's more backyard football in there than people are giving it credit for, like I said. But it's the machine that I'm wowed by. The machine of great decision after great decision, great throw after great throw, Ahmed. I mean, it's throwing go routes and the guy's covered, but he throws it out there in a spot where now the receiver can put his head down and, he can go play the ball in the air to where it just falls right in his hands. It's all four verticals and a guy running down the seam and somebody carrying him and like there's nowhere to throw the ball and he just fits it in there.
Yeah.
It's one good one after another, let alone he is unfazed by pressure around him.
All right, let's get into that.
I'm big into that.
Let's get into that because there may be some conflicting numbers out there.
Sure.
You don't always agree with the numbers. Sometimes they're context driven. They need a little bit more context.
Sure.
But PFF tracks all that stuff with a clean pocket and then versus pressure. And so this is last season, if you're watching on YouTube or on Peacock right now. Last season, they reported he had a clean pocket about 75% of the time. His completion percentage then was 71%. And he had 35 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. When he was pressured, they say, 23% of the time, he only had a completion percentage of 41%. Only threw about 5 yards per attempt, which was half what he did with a clean pocket, and his touchdowns per interception were 6-2. So they saw a bit of a concern when there was pressure around CJ. You did not see that.
I don't see that. And again, the numbers, I'm not going to dispute them. I think what's the dispute is the context of the numbers at times. Like, okay, yeah, maybe the team fools the offense. They get a free guy blitzing. He's got nowhere to throw it or whatever they thought, and he's got to throw it away or get it out, and there's nowhere to go with the football. Is there some of that? Sure. But would I look at his pressure with people bearing down on him in the pocket and all of that? I don't know. I never saw him blink. And some of those too, maybe the completion percentage wasn't good or tight window throws or whatever else. But I want to go, man, every time I saw him under the pressure, like the traditional way of like, okay, wait, he's standing there and people are bearing down, the pocket is collapsing. Oh, maybe he sees a free guy coming. I mean, he's unaffected by it. The ball goes exactly where it's supposed to go, right? Now, are there some times where I'm sure he was maybe fooled or the offense was fooled or, the Michigan game, he has a bootleg and he comes out and there's somebody blitzes off the edge and he's either going to get sacked or he kind of has to throw at the feet of somebody? Like, okay, yeah, there's some of that, all right? But there's that in everybody's game. So, again, I didn't look at it to be any issue in that department at all. And then the other thing, too, is like, more times than not, it's rare when the guy has this kind of arm where there is anticipation. He can just flick it and just like, oh, wait, I got to shorten up my stride with my motion, and just it almost looks like he's just barely using his arm. He can just flick it, throw it up and down, drop it right in the bucket, whatever there. That's where he's really good. Doesn't need to step in throws and understands how to kind of torque his upper body and make throws that way. So, I was blown away by the guy we saw there. I really was.
He really is. He's been the real deal for a while now. He was a 5-star recruit out of California, Heisman finalist each of the last 2 years. And, he's playing around studs at Ohio State. He's 6'3". He's 214 pounds, turns 22 in October, so he's still very young. And he was very accurate, and the numbers show that. But here, I'm going to throw this at you.
Go ahead, throw it out.
He's playing at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Clearly the best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Justin Fields had accuracy numbers that were pretty good at Ohio State.
This is different.
This is different than that.
Yeah. It's a different style of play they played. They played a style of football, of course, where you didn't have to worry. They weren't worried about Justin Fields type quarterback design runs with Stroud, right? It was more truly a drop back pass offense, and they were going to win the game through his right arm. So yeah, hey, listen, are there plays where people are wide open? Sure, yeah, but there's a million plays of, I get to see C.J. Stroud go through the field and make unbelievably quick decisions and diagnose the defense, and bam. Where Justin Fields might have been a little bit more of like, hey, play action. We just ran you the play before, and now we're just going to have 2 people go out in a route, right? And you're going to read the short post to the deep post, and that's it, right? Right. This is more of a traditional drop back passing offense, right? In that sense, where more of the Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady type of thing. So, you see some plays wide open, but, man, the thing that I just was blown away with more than anything is the amount of on-the-money throws to people that were covered, where I go, holy shit. He's covered, and he just slams it in there perfectly with all different types of varieties of throws. And I think that's just really what, for me, between that, the size, I think some untapped potential, the decision-making, all of that, for me, he was slam dunk, number one. And, even when I got done, like I watched Bryce Young, number one. I went to C.J. Stroud, number 2, when I started. And even in my first initial notes, I got done and I wrote, I have a hard time thinking anybody's going to beat this guy because I was blown away. And then the more I watched, because I kept going, well, let me find a game that's not good. Let me watch that Michigan game. I think the Michigan game was the 4th game I watched. I came away from the Michigan game going, holy shit. They should have won by 20. They failed him. They dropped passes. They dropped touchdown passes. They dropped a 4th and 2. He played actually really good. Could he have run and maybe taken over in a few other spots? Okay, maybe to a degree. He's a young kid still, learning how to play the game. I see everything, man. I see big-time player.
So how does he compare maybe to some of your recent number ones or recent guys you've been high on?
Right.
The Zach Wilsons, the Trevor Lawrence, the Kyler Murrays. Different quarterbacks, but that potential to be a superstar in the league.
I think, like, why I use Burrow is because of the decision-making and the pinpoint throwing, where – okay, Burrow's decision-making was, like, the greatest I've ever seen, to the point where you always went, like, how did he even see that? It doesn't even look like he looked at it yet, and he's still in the act of throwing, right? C.J. Stroud maybe not that quick, but not far behind. But where he's better than Burrow is his arm is better than Burrow's was coming out. We've talked about this. Burrow admitted to me last summer, he made adjustments to his throwing mechanics because he realized he needed to throw with more power and throw through the wind. So this guy, maybe a hair less decision maker and decipher, but still off the charts good from what I've seen since I've been on this side of the business. And then his throwing, especially, with the ability to power throw and put the ball into tight windows just time after time after time, I'd actually give him the advantage over Joe Burrow in that department.
So you think it's a slam dunk Carolina takes him number 1?
I would be shocked. There
are reports out there that now they're looking at 3, maybe they evaluate 2 that are close.
Hey, the great thing about them trading up to number 1 is they just get to evaluate this the way they want. That's the premium they paid to get the number 1. Now we can take our time and pick the guy we want. And I'm sure they might have a lean right now as to where they think this might go, but they're in the early process here. But I'm just going to say this. Between Frank Reich, who he is and who he was as a quarterback, playing under Jim Kelly, right, from everything we've seen from him as a head coach. He likes bigger pocket passing type quarterbacks. To me, and again, I don't think I'm not. This is to me not like a controversial one. I'm more on that. This is more of a, like, I knew my Zach Wilson was going to be controversial and I was in the minority, right? This is more of one where I go, the more people watching the NFL, the more they're going to go, oh my gosh, well, I see exactly what Chris saw, right? This is not one where I'm going out on a limb and it's splitting hairs. Like, definite. For Chris Simms, definite number one pick. I guess I'm saying that I'd be shocked if they didn't do it.
So I think you're right. I think as more people watch the combine, evaluate it again, C.J. Stroud has moved up, and I think a lot of places you see him as the number one pick right now.
Thanks for watching, homies. Hit subscribe to see all my unbuttoned videos. You get to see me, Ahmed Fareed, all the big player breakdowns, game breakdowns, player interviews, and my film analysis. So please subscribe. Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Peace out.